What happens when a song becomes so massive that billions of Spotify streams arrive faster than almost anything in music history? Today, Bruno Mars and Rosé have officially entered the conversation with APT, reaching 2.6 billion Spotify streams in just 674 days, making it the fourth fastest song ever to reach that enormous milestone. And the names above them are almost impossible to ignore. At number 1 is Die with a Smile, reaching 2.6 billion streams in only 299 days. At number 2 is Billie Eilish's Birds of a Feather, which reached the same milestone in 376 days. At number 3 is As It Was by Harry Styles, taking 508 days. And then at number 4 comes APT by Bruno Mars and Rosé. That means this collaboration has officially moved faster than Blinding Lights, one of the most successful streaming songs in modern history. But the real story is not simply that APT crossed 2.6 billion streams. The real story is how quickly it got there, why its streaming momentum has remained so powerful, and what this achievement says about the extraordinary global impact of Bruno Mars and Rosé. So before we go deeper, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, and leave a comment telling us where APT ranks among your favorite Bruno Mars or Rosé songs, because this ranking is changing the conversation around one of the biggest pop collaborations of the decade. APT was never an ordinary release. From the moment Bruno Mars and Rosé introduced the song to the world, the collaboration created an unusual combination of global pop appeal, K-pop influence, nostalgia, and an instantly recognizable hook. The title itself came from the Korean drinking game Apartment, and that simple concept became one of the song's biggest strengths. It was catchy, it was playful, it was easy to remember, and most importantly, it was incredibly easy to sing along to. That combination became a streaming machine. Now, fast forward 674 days. APT has reached 2.6 billion streams on Spotify, and that places Bruno Mars and Rosé at number 4 on the list of the fastest songs in Spotify history to reach that milestone. Think about that for a second. More than 2.5 billion individual streams. Not views, not impressions, not social media plays. 2.6 billion Spotify streams. And the amount of time required to reach that number puts APT ahead of Blinding Lights by The Weeknd in this particular race. That is a remarkable statistic considering what Blinding Lights represents. The Weeknd's Blinding Lights is widely recognized as one of the biggest streaming songs of all time. Its impact on Spotify, global charts, radio, playlists, and popular culture has been enormous. Yet, in the race to 2.6 billion streams, APT has now reached the milestone faster. That does not mean APT has surpassed Blinding Lights in total streams. It means something much more specific, and arguably just as fascinating. The Bruno Mars and Rosé collaboration reached this particular streaming milestone in less time. And that distinction matters, because streaming records are not only about how many people listen to a song, they are also about how quickly listeners continue coming back. And APT has demonstrated extraordinary replay value. The song's success is especially interesting because Bruno Mars and Rosé came from two different corners of the global music industry. Bruno Mars entered the collaboration as one of the most successful pop performers of his generation, with a catalog filled with massive global hits such as Just the Way You Are, Locked Out of Heaven, Uptown Funk, 24K Magic, That's What I Like, and When I Was Your Man. Rosé, meanwhile, had already established herself as a global superstar through BLACKPINK before expanding her solo career. When those two worlds collided, the result was APT, and the numbers quickly became impossible to ignore. The song became a global phenomenon across streaming platforms and social media. Its chorus became instantly recognizable, while the repeated APT chant gave listeners something incredibly simple to remember. That simplicity became a weapon, because in the modern streaming era, songs do not necessarily need complicated arrangements or enormous lyrical narratives to dominate. Sometimes the strongest formula is the simplest one: a memorable melody, a recognizable voice, a strong beat, a visual identity, a cultural reference, and a hook that people can repeat after hearing it only once. APT had all of those ingredients, but there is another reason this achievement matters. Look at the names surrounding Bruno Mars and Rosé. Number 1, Die with a Smile. Number 2, Birds of a Feather. Number 3, As It Was. Number 4, APT. Number 5, Blinding Lights. This is not an ordinary list. These are songs that have become defining streaming era records. And now APT sits directly among them. That puts Bruno Mars and Rosé in extremely rare company. The interesting part is that the gap between the songs is enormous. Die with a Smile reached 2.6 billion streams in only 299 days. That is an extraordinary pace. Then comes Birds of a Feather at 376 days. Then As It Was at 508 days. And now APT at 674 days. At number 5, Blinding Lights required 701 days. So the difference between APT and Blinding Lights is only 27 days. 27 days separate the 4th fastest and 5th fastest songs on this particular list. That is incredibly close considering the scale of billions of streams. And here is where the story gets even more interesting. When a song reaches 1 billion streams, the number is already difficult to comprehend. But moving from 1 billion to 2 billion requires another billion streams. Then reaching 2.6 billion requires hundreds of millions more. Every additional 100 million streams becomes increasingly difficult because the song has to maintain its audience long after its initial release. That means APT did not simply have a huge opening. It maintained attention. It maintained replay value. It maintained playlist presence. It maintained cultural relevance. And it continued attracting listeners from different parts of the world. That is the real significance behind the number. Now stop for a moment and imagine the scale. Every single day, millions of Spotify listeners contribute to the growth of a song that was originally built around the simple idea of an apartment game. A Korean cultural reference became a global pop hook. A K-pop superstar joined forces with a Western pop icon. And together, they created a song that would eventually become one of the fastest tracks in history to reach 2.6 billion Spotify streams. That journey is extraordinary. But there is something else that makes APT particularly fascinating. The song was not built around one audience. It crossed multiple audiences at once. Bruno Mars brought decades of global pop recognition. Rosé brought the enormous international reach of K-pop and BLACKPINK. And the collaboration created a bridge between Western pop and Korean pop culture. That crossover effect is one of the biggest reasons the song became such a powerful global streaming phenomenon. For years, the music industry has talked about the globalization of pop music. But numbers like this provide a measurable example of what that globalization actually looks like. A song can now emerge from a collaboration between artists with very different backgrounds and instantly become part of a worldwide listening culture. The boundaries between K-pop and Western pop continue to become less important. And APT is one of the clearest examples. Now, there is a moment in this story that deserves even more attention, because reaching number 4 is impressive. But the question is whether APT can continue climbing. Could it eventually challenge the songs ahead of it? That is where things become unpredictable. Die with a Smile reached the milestone in only 299 days, creating an enormous gap between itself and the rest of the ranking. Birds of a Feather also moved at an extraordinary pace, so catching the top 2 would require an entirely different level of streaming acceleration. But the immediate battle is more realistic. APT is already ahead of Blinding Lights in the speed required to reach 2.6 billion. And that alone gives Bruno Mars and Rosé another major streaming achievement to add to their growing list of records. The fascinating thing about Spotify is that every stream represents an individual decision. Someone wakes up and plays the song. Someone adds it to a playlist. Someone hears it in a short video and searches for it. Someone discovers it months after release. Someone plays it during a workout. Someone plays it during a party. Someone returns to it because the chorus is stuck in their head. Multiply those moments across millions of listeners around the world, and suddenly billions of streams become possible. That is how a viral moment transforms into a long-term streaming phenomenon. And APT clearly did not remain only a viral moment. It became a catalog hit. That distinction is crucial. Many songs can dominate social media for a few weeks. Many songs can become viral on TikTok. Many songs can generate millions of streams quickly. But maintaining enough momentum to reach 2.6 billion streams requires something much more powerful: longevity. And that is exactly what the 674-day figure demonstrates. APT has survived beyond the initial hype. It has continued to be discovered, replayed, shared, and streamed. That is why this record matters. Because the song is no longer simply a successful collaboration. It is now part of Spotify streaming history, and Bruno Mars and Rosé have officially entered one of the platform's most exclusive statistical conversations. There is also an important symbolic element to this achievement. Bruno Mars has repeatedly demonstrated an ability to create songs that remain relevant years after their original release. Rosé, meanwhile, has shown that her solo career can generate enormous global attention outside the group environment. APT brought those strengths together: Bruno's songwriting and performance identity, Rosé's distinctive vocal color and global K-pop audience, a memorable concept, a highly recognizable chorus, and an audience that spans continents. The result is a track that continues to generate numbers at a historic level. And when the song reaches another milestone, the question will become even bigger. How high can APT climb? Can it continue accumulating billions of streams at a pace strong enough to challenge the records above it? Could Bruno Mars and Rosé eventually move higher on the all-time fastest list? Or will the next generation of global pop hits overtake them? That is the unpredictable part of streaming. Records that look untouchable today can suddenly fall when the right song appears. But for now, the result is clear. At 674 days, APT has reached 2.6 billion Spotify streams faster than Blinding Lights, placing Bruno Mars and Rosé at number 4 in this specific ranking. Number 1 belongs to Die With a Smile at 299 days. Number 2 belongs to Birds of a Feather at 376 days. Number 3 belongs to As It Was at 508 days. Number 4 belongs to APT at 674 days. And number 5 belongs to Blinding Lights at 701 days. 5 songs, 5 global phenomena, and 1 extraordinary achievement for Bruno Mars and Rosé. But perhaps the biggest takeaway is not the number itself. It is what the number represents. Music has become more global than ever. K-pop and Western pop are no longer separate worlds. Spotify has created an environment where a song can travel from Seoul to Los Angeles, from New York to London, from Jakarta to Paris, and from Tokyo to Sao Paulo in a matter of moments. And APT has taken full advantage of that global ecosystem. The song's journey from a playful cultural reference to a multi-billion stream global anthem is exactly the kind of story that defines modern pop music. And Bruno Mars and Rosé have now secured their place inside it. So the next time you hear APT, and that instantly recognizable chant begins, remember what is happening behind the music. You are not just hearing another viral pop song. You are hearing a track that has already crossed 2.6 billion Spotify streams. You are hearing the 4th fastest song in this particular race. You are hearing a collaboration between 2 global superstars that has outpaced one of the biggest streaming hits in history to reach this milestone. And most importantly, you are watching a streaming record continue to evolve in real time. The story of APT is clearly not finished yet, because 2.6 billion is not necessarily the final destination. It is another checkpoint, another milestone, another number added to a collaboration that has already changed the streaming conversation around Bruno Mars and Rosé. And if the song continues to attract listeners at this pace, the next major milestone could bring an even bigger headline. For now, though, the ranking speaks for itself. Die with a Smile at number 1. Birds of a Feather at number 2. As It Was at number 3. APT at number 4. And Blinding Lights at number 5. Bruno Mars and Rosé have officially made streaming history. And the question now is not whether APT is successful. That question has already been answered. The real question is how much further it can go. If you enjoyed this update, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and share your thoughts in the comments. Is APT one of the greatest global collaborations of the streaming era? And where do you think it will rank when it reaches its next billion stream milestone? But the story of APT becomes even more fascinating when we look beyond the headline number. Because 2.6 billion Spotify streams is not simply a statistic that appears on a chart. It represents an enormous amount of sustained attention from listeners around the world. And for Bruno Mars and Rosé, that attention has transformed APT from a major collaboration into one of the defining global pop songs of its era. The speed of the achievement is what makes it so remarkable. Reaching billions of streams is difficult. Reaching billions of streams quickly is something else entirely. A song needs an enormous initial audience, but that alone is not enough. The track also needs to remain relevant after the first wave of excitement disappears. It needs listeners to return again and again, and it needs new audiences to continue discovering it. That is exactly what appears to have happened with APT. The song's infectious chorus became one of its biggest advantages. Even people who were not deeply familiar with either Bruno Mars or Rosé could quickly recognize the repeated APT hook. And that is an important characteristic of a modern streaming hit. Recognition creates repetition. Repetition creates replay value. And replay value creates streams. When those streams accumulate across millions of listeners, the numbers can become extraordinary. That helps explain why APT has been able to remain such a powerful streaming force long after its original release. But there is another layer to the story. Bruno Mars is not a newcomer to the world of enormous streaming numbers. His catalog already includes some of the most recognizable pop songs of the modern era. Songs like Just the Way You Are, Grenade, Locked Out of Heaven, Uptown Funk, 24K Magic, and That's What I Like have demonstrated his extraordinary ability to create music with global longevity. Rosé brings a completely different but equally powerful dimension. Her global audience was already enormous through BLACKPINK, one of the most influential K-pop groups in the world. Her solo career then gave her another platform to establish her identity as an individual artist. When these two audiences came together, the potential was enormous. But potential is one thing, execution is another, and APT delivered. The collaboration did not feel like two separate fanbases simply listening to the same song. Instead, the track created a shared pop culture moment. Bruno Mars fans discovered Rosé. Rosé's global K-pop audience discovered another side of Bruno Mars. And casual listeners discovered a song that was almost impossible to ignore. That crossover is one of the biggest stories hidden behind the 2.6 billion stream milestone. The music industry has changed dramatically over the past decade. A global hit no longer needs to follow the traditional path of radio promotion, television appearances, physical sales, and regional chart success. Today, a song can explode through streaming platforms, social media, fan communities, short-form video, playlists, performances, and word of mouth. And when all of those forces work together, the result can be enormous. APT became a perfect example of that new ecosystem. Its title was distinctive. Its chorus was instantly recognizable. Its performers were globally famous. And its concept was easy for audiences to understand. That combination created an extremely powerful formula. Now, here is where the ranking becomes especially interesting. At number 5 is Blinding Lights, a song that has become almost synonymous with Spotify's streaming era. The Weeknd's massive hit has been one of the most enduring songs of the modern digital music landscape. Yet APT needed fewer days to reach 2.6 billion streams. That does not diminish the historic impact of Blinding Lights. Instead, it highlights just how aggressive the streaming growth of APT has been. 27 days. That is the difference between 674 days and 701 days. Only 27 days separate these two songs in the race to 2.6 billion streams. And when the milestone is measured in billions, a difference of less than 1 month becomes incredibly significant. It means that Bruno Mars and Rosé have entered a very exclusive group of songs capable of generating enormous streaming numbers at extraordinary speed. But there is still an even bigger question. What happens next? Because Spotify records do not stop at 2.6 billion. The streaming counter continues moving every single day. Every new listener can add another stream. Every playlist placement can introduce the song to another audience. Every viral moment can bring an old song back into the spotlight. And every major performance can potentially create another wave of interest. That means the story of APT is still developing. It is impossible to know exactly where the song will ultimately rank in the all-time streaming landscape. But its trajectory has already made one thing clear. The collaboration between Bruno Mars and Rosé was not a temporary experiment. It was a global commercial and cultural success. And that matters because collaborations between major artists can sometimes produce enormous attention for a few weeks before fading. APT has shown a different kind of staying power. The song has continued to accumulate streams at a level that places it among the fastest tracks to reach this enormous milestone. That longevity is perhaps the most impressive part of the entire story. Because viral attention can be measured in days. A successful song can dominate for weeks. But billions of streams require months and years of continued listening. The audience has to keep coming back. And that is exactly what gives the 674-day figure its significance. It is not just about how many people heard APT. It is about how many people kept listening. That distinction is easy to overlook. But it is one of the most important factors behind every major streaming record. Imagine the song's journey. A listener discovers APT. For the first time, they hear the chorus. They remember the hook. They add it to a playlist. A week later, they hear it again. Then another listener discovers the song through a friend. Another hears it through social media. Another hears it on a playlist. Another searches for Bruno Mars. Another searches for Rosé. And the cycle continues. Millions of individual listening decisions eventually become billions of streams. That is how modern music history is written. Not by one massive moment, but by millions of small moments happening simultaneously across the planet. And APT has accumulated enough of those moments to reach 2.6 billion. There is also a symbolic significance to the collaboration. Bruno Mars represents a generation of global pop music built around timeless songwriting, live performance, rhythm, soul, funk, and mainstream accessibility. Rosé represents the new generation of global artists who have helped take K-pop and Korean pop culture to audiences far beyond Asia. Their collaboration effectively connects two generations of global pop influence. That makes APT more than a commercial success. It becomes a snapshot of where popular music is heading. The old boundaries between genres continue to disappear. Western pop, K-pop, R&B, dance, hip-hop, electronic music. All of these sounds can now exist within the same global listening environment. And listeners are increasingly choosing songs based on whether they connect emotionally, culturally, or simply because they are impossible to forget. APT managed to achieve all three. That is why the song's streaming performance deserves attention. And there is one more detail that should not be overlooked. The top 5 ranking shows just how competitive the modern streaming environment has become. A song reaching 2.6 billion streams would once have been considered almost unimaginable. Now, several songs have reached that territory in record time. Die with a Smile did it in 299 days. Birds of a Feather did it in 376. As It Was did it in 508. APT did it in 674, and Blinding Lights did it in 701. This is evidence of how dramatically streaming consumption has